Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for all for coming here on such short notice to hear this this news conference. I have, as we've distributed to all of you, a memo from myself to City Council requesting that City Council passes appropriate legislation to refer to City Council to the electors to pass a funding measure to fund the police department. This story starts many years ago. Industrial cities across this country, particularly in northeastern Ohio, have had challenges with their finances for many years. We've been on a steady decline in our revenue for many, many years now. Revenue that's simply just not keeping up with expenses. And Elyria, as well as our peer industrial cities, again, across the country, and particularly in northeastern Ohio, we've had to make steady cuts in our services, primarily in police and fire. And over the years, we've been just simply not able to keep up with services. Our income tax rate, the city of Elyria, is 1.75%. We're the largest city in Ohio whose rate is under 2%. We've simply not been able to keep up with the vast services with the income tax rate that we've had. Combined with the economy, particularly the recession that we're in, we're in a position where we have to make a sizable, dramatic effort in our community. Very pleased and proud of our community that on Tuesday of this week, the community passed the school a property tax measure to fund operations. When you look at our community as well as any other community, the most important thing that residents look for in their community is they want to have a good school system, and they want to be safe from criminal activity in their neighborhoods and where they live. And this proposal is to address a major shortcoming in our police department. Our police department, just 15 years ago, had 100 police officers. They're down to 82 presently. We have several more that are about to retire. Two are deployed in Afghanistan. 2 more may be called up at any time. Our police cars are in a horrible state of repair, many, many miles on them. Our newest car is over 4 years old, which is about the time most cars need to be replaced. Our handguns need to be updated. Our radios need to be updated, laptop computers, you name it. The department is not keeping up with its needs. We've had a number of violent crimes take place this year, as have been taking place for a number of years, but they've been on the rise here in the last 12 months. I think as a result of the economic condition we're in, sociological problems that are taking place, many reasons. But at the end of the day, there are many criminal activities that are taking place in our community, and we need to take decisive action. Again, the school measure was passed a couple days ago. Now the next step for our community is to address the important critical needs of our police department. Chief Whiteley and I have been meeting almost every day for a number of weeks, looking at what our situation is, what are the criminal activities with which we have to deal with in our community, and what are the resources within the police department. And we simply can't keep up to the level that we need to appropriately protect our residents. When we've talked about tax measures in years past, and particularly last year and the last couple of years, our residents have asked, if you want additional funds, we want to know exactly where they're going. We want them marked for specific reasons, for specific uses. The proposal that is outlined in this 3-page memo and some of the supporting information shows that right now our income tax is comprised totally of 1.75%. 1% is dedicated to the general fund and used throughout the general fund departments, including police and fire. We have 0.25% that's dedicated to the police departments specifically, and we have another 0.5% 5-year temporary income tax that is also for the general fund purposes of the city. This proposal before you that is being asked of City Council to consider preparing and bring to the voters for November election is to raise the police 0.25% income tax to 1% for the exclusive use of the police department, at the same time eliminating or repealing the existing 0.5% temporary income tax. That would raise our income tax in its entirety from 1.75 to 2%. Now in your packet I also have a list. It's not a complete list, but it's pretty complete. 96 other communities in Ohio whose income tax rate is 2% or higher. Most all of our peers throughout the state are at 2% or higher. I think that would give comfort for our residents to understand that this is an appropriate funding level for our residents to pay. These are tough times economically, but the consequences of not taking this action, I believe, would be worse on our community. The uses of the funds largely will be for personnel. The goal is to take us from 82 police officers where we are at today up to 100 approximately, perhaps more if funds will be available for that. A portion of the funds are to bring our equipment up to reasonable standards, police cars being the biggest expense, firearms and other areas are part of those expenditures. Some of the funds will be for training, improve our training. We have an excellent training program as it is, but we need to do better in that regard. And then some of it will be for prisoner support, pay to house prisoners. So those are the general areas of how the funds will be used. The chief is here to answer any of your questions as far as how the funds would be used and what those specific needs are. So we're here to answer your questions and describe. Council President Bullocks is en route here. He had a family issue to take care of. He should be here any moment. He's called for a strategic planning meeting to be next Thursday evening. It's May 13th at 6 p.m. for City Council to address this issue. Again, in the packet is the proposed legislation, 2 ordinances and 2 resolutions to affect this program that has been just outlined. So, would be happy to answer any of your questions.
So, Chief, this will put another 18 officers at least in the department. How many of those 18 officers will actually be on the road?
What we have to do.
Slide the microphones down, please, with your mic.
We are short in every area of the department. Our detective bureau is down 6 detectives. Our NIU is down 4. Our road patrol is down at least 8, probably closer to 10. And we would have to break it up in the number 18 into that. So we're deficient in a lot of areas. The problem with that is it puts a lot on the other officers, the ones working the road. They have job assignments, they have duties to do. And when they're that short of personnel, it puts more on the guys that are doing the job.
Could you talk to us more about the increase in crime that the mayor spoke
of? There's...
Could you look towards us? I know they asked over there so we can see you.
We've been dealing with an increase here for quite a while, and it did seem to kind of go with the economic conditions of the city. As the economy went bad, the crime went up. One of the statistics I brought to City Council on Monday was the amount of guns that we've taken in. We are up 15% from January 1st to May 1st of 2010 over the same time period in 2009. If you go back 2 to 3 years, we're up 300% in that same time frame. It seems like every weekend I'm getting phone calls or reading the paper about more shots fired in the city. Crime is definitely up. Robbery's up 10% in that same time period. Again, probably due to the economic conditions. But all this is putting more on the road officers. Every time there's a shots fired call, they have to respond. We don't know where they're coming from. We only have so many officers to respond to them. I was talking to one of the officers today. He said they were over on this corner and they could hear the gunshots down here. Well, by the time they got down there was nobody there. So having more manpower would definitely help us take care of these issues.
When did you want to see this go on the ballot?
We'd like to go on the November 2nd ballot. Our charter present would have to be approved by council to present it to the electors. We would require 8 votes out of our 11 council members to place the measure on the ballot. There's some supporting resolutions to go with it. Among them is to, we would raise the income tax rate for the police department from 0.25% to 1%. But for the police department to be the full beneficiary of these increased funds, we would also have to allocate a one-eighth of the existing 1% income tax as well. And there's a resolution stating that in this packet as well. So that will all be presented to council. We wanted to have this information for council. They all have received it either directly or by email right now. They will be reviewing it over the next number of days. They will be, I'm sure, talking to Chief Whiteley and He's key administrative staff and other police officers in the department to get a firsthand, better understanding. They're pretty well versed. I think this is going to be an easy presentation to make, not only to council, but ultimately to our community. Our community well understands the cuts that have been taking place and understands the criminal behavior and activities that have been taking place, that we need to act decisively to intervene. When a community gets a reputation negatively as being unsafe, it's hard to turn that around. So we have to act decisively. We can't afford to wait another day. We've waited this long. I would have liked to have been before you a month ago to make this presentation, to start this action, but almost equally important is our school system, and they were on the ballot here a couple days ago, and we wanted to clear the path for their effort. So that's passed us. Now we need to act as quickly as we possibly can. And I'm asking City Council to spend this week reviewing the material, pass it in committee next Thursday, and then full council on May 17th, so we can start the campaign effort in our community.